I'm here with Richard from Jenton International to have a look at, there's not just one stand going on, there are two stands here. And we're going to have a look at everything that they're up to. But before we do that, Richard, thank you for joining me.
That's right, pleasure.
So for anyone who perhaps doesn't know much about Jenton, would you mind telling us a little bit about what it is that you do?
Right, well, Jenton, we're 50 years old this year, so what we do now is a little bit different to what we did 50 years ago, but ultimately we design and manufacture packaging machines for food automation. We make for food automation, we make for disinfection, and we sell a range of machines that are used for heat sealing.
I see. Okay, fantastic. So let's go through some of those machines then, what we have here. So if we start with this one, what have we got?
This is a ProNova machine that's made in Sweden, and this is designed to automate the feeding of bags into a bag sealer. So for the small, it's not as big as a form-filled seal machine, but for things like pouches and machines with bags with zips and things like that, these bags are made down here, so they're pre-made by a company called Supreme Plastics, and then we feed them through onto our Joker machine. This here because they're on a string, it enables the bags to be held open, so you can have feeding systems to feed things into the bag as they go past.
It's pretty clever, isn't it, and efficient?
Yeah, absolutely. We can do a vacuum, we can do gas flush, and its system goes. So there's all sorts of packing lines that are used for a lot in medical and things like that.
Yes.
If you only want to hand feed bags, we've got a hand-fed bag sealers at the back, so band sealers. They also act like conveyors. So you would pack something in one place and then they'd feed through to somewhere else.
Oh, okay, fantastic. So actually there's something that can be tailored to whatever your needs are, really?
Well, provided your needs involve a relatively small to medium requirement for bags and pouches, if we do that.
That's fantastic.
Now, again, over here, this is what Jenton's been doing banding machines for years and years and years. And banding machines are effectively sticking non-sticky sticky tape around a bunch of stuff in order to hold it together. Now, the classic thing is cash. So if you know any Mexican drug barons that need their cash banded, we can help out. But there are lots of other things that are being done. And our job is to find, they were designed originally for the printing industry, holding together sacks of card and paper and things like that. But our job is to find new applications for them. So you can use banding for...
Yeah, let's have a little look at this over here, because actually this looks really, really interesting. There's a lot going on, like a real variety.
So you can use banding for things like tamper evidence, you can use it for labeling. It's a really novel way to hold T-shirts together or something like that. I mean, that's the way that in America everyone supplies T-shirts like this. We've replaced recently down here, this is for towels and linen where people used to use shrink wrap before. So it's a low energy way of replacing shrink wrap.
And actually it's fantastic as well, because a lot of this stuff, it's not made from, it's materials that possibly you could reuse and, like you say, low energy.
Yeah, well, I mean, what's happening here, it's like how much packaging do you really need is one answer. The machines themselves are very simple. You simply put someone in you put it in there, press the button, and it puts a band around it. Now, what we've developed over here is we've got just a little demonstrator of using robotics to do that. There's a company called Universal Robots and RAR Automation who we're doing various projects with. And in this case, for example, we've got a little robot that will take a band. I sincerely hope it will. Everyone's been fiddling with it, and so there we go.
Yeah, it's fantastic.
Now, admittedly, you could do that by hand, but there are lots of things that you can't do by hand, and so we'll do that like that.
And also, it just saves that people power, I guess, as well, because actually that person who would have been doing that can go off and do something else.
Well, yeah, the thing is, it used to be that automation used to be how much does it cost to replace somebody or something like that. Well, now there aren't any people to replace, so do you want to do it or not? Seems to be where a lot of the automation is coming in.
Fantastic. Okay, well, let's continue then.
Here, we're moving a completely different thing altogether.
Okay.
And this is where we have a company called Soken Engineering, and what we do here is we make heat sealers for trays, for tray sealing, for ready meals, for airline meals and things like that. And we also do heat sealing for things like the sandwich pack. Right? The wonderful thing about the UK is that we seem to think sandwiches are okay for lunch. Yes. It doesn't sell very well in France, this, I have to say. But what we do here is that it's a classic type application where you get your sandwich pack, put the sandwich pack in it, okay, and put it onto there.
Brilliant, yeah. You see these in shops absolutely everywhere, don't you? So it's really useful.
And then it comes out. Oh, we would do if I hadn't tried to get it so early. and then we have a sealed sandwich pack ready
Right.
to go on the shelf.
Simple.
So we said there are lots of small companies. So we do things for big companies, we do things for little companies, and of course, if you look on the wall of the videos, right, classic at the moment, we do automatic equipment for doing higher speeds and things like that.
And I mean, like you say, the variety is pretty huge about what it is that you're up to. And I mean, we're not even done yet.
Well, no, there's lots more. But the thing is, though, it's all in common. It's all in common because over 50 years, things evolve. And we always try and do what customers want, and then what we find is we build a special machine for one customer, and then lo and behold, someone else wants it, and someone else wants it, and before you know it, it's a product range. Now, this is a product we did, this started out, our UV disinfection area, started out with work we did in the 1990s with the Body Shop. And we were doing disinfection for packaging for their bottles, so you could bring bottles back to the shop and refill them. Now, 1995 was a bit early for that sort of thing, and it didn't really take off. But what we do now is we do a lot of packaging, air and surface disinfection. This conveyor here, for example, you can see the rollers moving through here. This is a conveyor designed for a food factory where you're moving ingredients and toolboxes and sacks of materials from low care into high care. The high care is where the actual food is exposed, and where everyone's wearing their hair nets and everything else. So this is to mean that the products and things that go into that area are disinfected on the outside to minimize contamination. And we'll also work on minimizing contamination in the air ducts. So we have, for example, the air conditioning systems to make sure that mold doesn't grow on condensing coils and things like that. And there are other situations, for example, where salmon comes into a factory with bacteria on it. And of course, it's then spread around when you cut it. So we have system for actually UV treatment of food as well to make that. Okay, so that sort of thing. And the technology's been around for a long, long time, but it's only recently that people have started to use it in great quantity.
I think that's really interesting what you said as well about the fact that actually this was the 90s when actually it first was around, and it's your customers now that are demanding it, which is great.
We did sell quite a few of these things during the COVID epidemic, of course, because the viruses are transmitted by air. For years, we've been telling people that you can keep air safer in offices and things like that by treating the air. It took a little convincing, but of course, in the COVID era, what we did there is food factories had to keep running and people had to keep working next to each other. And we sold quite a lot of much bigger systems than this for treating the air in food factories to try and make sure that you couldn't stop people catching COVID, but you could catch it. The idea was to stop people catching it at the same time.
Okay, so actually keeping it clean for the people.
At the supermarket or something, but they won't all get it at the same time, because when the entire workforce is off, that's a real problem. But most of what we do, I know you said it's varied, but most of what we do is in the food industry. And moving over here.
Oh, and like you say, yes, it's in the food industry, but actually it is covering a whole range of needs that your customers will have, which is great, because it's sort of that one-stop shop.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, there's an awful lot of other stuff here that we don't do. The PPMA show is full of, as you have seen today, probably more than me so far, so many different things. But it's because you see, the thing is, there's only 2 types of aeroplane. There's only 100 types of car. But if you look at the supermarket, how on earth there's so many products? So there's so many different things that need to be done, whether it's labeling or automation or robotics or whatever else. But what we do here is that we get involved in, for example, food factories, where people are packing things like, the things you get in the cold cabinets in supermarkets. A lot of own branded stuff and things like that. Those are high volume. They're running 120, 180 packs a minute. And it's almost like a train set. Lines have to come together, halves have to go apart. Some things need to be done one at a time. Some things need to be done all together. So we do products like this. This is a converger. And this is effectively a mechanical funnel. Okay, so there's a machine over here that'll be producing 8 packs at once, and there's a machine down here that wants the packs one at a time. Yep. So what we're doing, if I press the start, okay.
It's a good game to get everyone to run and catch them as well.
Yeah, to see the cheese catcher.
Now, what a job title! What a job title!
There's a job we could automate, isn't it? Yeah, absolutely.
Oh, this really is wonderful.
But the pièce de résistance is, I'm going to hand you over to Steve. The reason being that this is gradually things will get cleverer as they go along the line, but then they get to the. No. There's some exceptions there, but Steve will tell you about our flagship product, which is the Jenton tobacco label verification system.
Oh, fantastic. Well, Richard, thank you. Let's hand over to you, Steve. Lovely to meet you.
Hello.
Let's go and have a little look. Where is this amazing technology that we are hearing about?
That equipment that we've just talked to you about is from a company called Jenton Ariana, company that Jenton bought many years ago. What we're looking at now is Jenton DeMarco. So Jenton DeMarco, if we look at this basic machine over here, build a range of equipment which takes photographs of food products. This is an offline static system rather than a fully automated conveyorized system. But what we do here is we take a photograph of a food product, we take the top and the base at the same time if there's base labels, and we verify all the data that's printed on there, so that it ensures that your suppliers are sending products out to supermarkets with the right packaging material on. So you wouldn't want to buy a smoked pack of bacon and find it's unsmoked inside. Similarly, it's got to have the right use by date on, it's got to be the right weight, and it's got to have the right promotional labels on. And that's what DeMarco is all about.
Amazing. So it's actually those things that as a consumer you don't really think about, yet you expect to be correct.
Absolutely, you expect to be correct, and if the suppliers were to make a mistake, they can be very costly.
I can only imagine.
Especially if one supermarket got a lot of packaging from another supermarket on the shelves, which unfortunately can happen. So we've only got photographs here, but our range of machines are fully automated systems that can literally check a pack at 150 a minute and read all that data. And that's what DeMarco is all about.
It's very impressive, isn't it? And I should, just for your customers and everyone coming around here at PPMA, they must be really impressed with what they see.
Well, they are, but our customers want to produce food more efficiently. That means they're buying robots and end-of-line case packing systems. To do that, to buy robots, to buy end-of-line case packing solutions and not have a vision-based inspection system is a really worrying thing. So we fill that gap and allow them to automate more.
Brilliant. I love this. Thank you, Steve, for taking the time to show us round. I mean, that was the best tour I think we've had of all the products on a stand so far. So thank you so much. But do come down and have a chat with the whole team here at Jenton. I mean, there are 2 stands, so you've got lots of time, lots of things to come and cover, and have a nice chat with Steve if you want to find out more about some of the products that they are offering here. Thank you.